thoughts together so you can actually make your point. So we'll return to you. We just encourage you to try and call back in. We have so many other people trying to get on this platform to contribute to this discussion. But let's go back to our Lagos Center, and this time with the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria. And again, pharmacies are going to be key to whatever success rate is achieved in this new drive. And easily, people would say all this came up because many pharmacies were compromised. You earlier talked about your legal battles with patent medicine distributors. Now you say you have surmounted that. But what about the pharmacies, the pharmacists themselves, who are not on the same page with this drive?
Thank you, Cyril. Let me throw a little light into the issues that has been raised, so that by the time I pick on the role of the pharmacist and what we expect them to do in this circumstance, I think the nation will be reassured of the commitment of the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria to ensure that this pronouncement by the Honorable Minister succeeds. Like His Excellency said, that we need an holistic approach to address this issue. And I want to state here, having the privilege to have participated in that committee, which the Honorable Minister inaugurated from the beginning to the end, the coding, control, and other related matters working group. Holistic measures have been put in place, from issues that borders on policy down to issues of engagement of stakeholders and monitoring of facilities, as well as rehabilitation mechanisms and treatment of victims of victims of this abuse. Across the entire spectrum of recommendations, many of them have direct impact on the pharmacist professionals. One, and this of course also goes beyond the pharmacist, the Federal Ministry of Health is working with the UNODC, United Nations Office for the Control of Drugs, to review the pre- and in-service training for health professionals to promote rational use of controlled medicines. That is number one. Number two, from the recommendations, the enforcement activities will be stepped up, monitoring, as well as supportive supervision of registered facilities will be stepped up. And most importantly, what has also promoted this unfettered access is the fact that we have limited number of pharmacies. And in that, to address that, the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria is coming up with a concept which is called satellite pharmacy. By the time the new bill comes into effect, you realize that what we have now as inadequate distribution of facilities where you have pharmacists licensed to actually handle and dispense drugs will be extended into the hinterland. And by the time we have this extended, we have put in place measures such as hub and scope model to monitor these facilities. And we also want to bring in the ICT mechanism to monitor the distribution channel and also supervise the facilities. I can assure you that even by Monday, the Register of the Pharmacists Council is going to have a meeting with the National Executive of the Association of Community Pharmacists, who are the pharmacists that run this community pharmacy. We are going to throw it open, all the measures that we are going to put in place to checkmate this. And I can assure you that we are going to have maximum cooperation from the body of pharmacists.
All right, thank you. Can still return to the phones now, I believe. Do we still? Hello? Okay, another call from Kano. Musa calling in from Kano. Hello, Musa.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sorry, I have some couple of questions. First of all, it goes to the Ibrahim from Pharmaceutical Association, right? He talked about getting a prescription card before getting any drug from the pharmacy. So what if somebody goes to maybe forge a prescription card, takes it to the pharmacist, and then he gets a codeine or anything or any other what's it called, substance he needs. I think of recent I've thought of something big, like a software maybe or any other thing, a database where a doctor or any other person giving the prescription won't have to give the patient anything, like maybe a card or a written note or something. Maybe they get a software that they can do to send maybe to other, pharmacies, whereby a doctor can send a prescription directly to that pharmacy. You understand? You see, it's more likely not to be, sorry.
All right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ibrahim, we'll put the question straight to the Pharmacists Council. In fact, we raised something similar in our earlier comments, and we said, yes, you take a prescription card to a pharmacy, and that's it. They retain the prescription card, as he said. They make all the entries. But again, the question is, how do you determine if that prescription card is genuine? And is there a follow-up to know, for instance, if some doctor in some hospital has been in the habit of prescribing a particular drug to so many people, does it ring a bell somewhere? So can we get an answer to that?
Very much, Cyril. Like I said, I was part of the committee, and part of what the committee recommended, what we have now is that we don't have a standard prescription format for the country. And part of the recommendation of that committee is the reactivation of the process that was started sometimes back in 2012 of having in place a prescription policy. By the time we have that in place, all these issues he's complaining about, he's trying to throw up, I can assure you that it will be adequately addressed. Because once we have a prescription policy, the prescription policy, of course, is going to have a database from the Medical and Dental Council giving you comprehensively all the licensed registered medical practitioners, as well as their numbers. Equally, too, you are going to have attached to that also a database from the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria. And everybody's name and registration number is going to be there. And by the time we have that, the issue of faking will no longer be there, because right by the time I'm in doubt as to whether a prescription is genuine, it's only easy, I can only punch into, the only thing I can do, the easiest thing I can do is to punch the database of the Medical and Dental Council. I will be able to make inquiries as to who this person really is, and perhaps even get his phone number, get his location, and maybe put a call through to him to ascertain the genuinity of that prescription. And I think it's part of the, I'm sure it's part of the recommendation, which the Honorable Minister has assured that he's going to bring up, and to address these issues of fake prescriptions coming up everywhere.
In a moment, but let's take this call again from Kano. Mahmoud calling in from Kano. Hello, Mahmoud.
Yes. Mr. Cyril, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for this very important discussion. I would like to, first of all, commend the government for this taking bold step, to bail our youth from this unfortunate situation. His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kano State, I would like to actually corroborate with him. We should look at it holistically. When we are young, we know that in the neighborhood, when you misbehave, people will call you to order. Not necessarily your father. A friend to your father is your father. But nowadays, what I can say is we have a broken socialization process where we only care, we only show concern to our own personal, or what we call our personal, children. Nobody cares whatever another person does in the society. So all the stakeholders, all the actors in the chain, in the socialization process must come together. All hands must be on deck. to get us from this unfortunate situation. The teachers, the neighborhood, as I said, the ulamas, the pastors, and any other person, must show concern, some element of concern in this regard, because government alone definitely cannot do it. We have to come together, all of us, to ensure that we get our society free from this unfortunate thing. A politician, you don't blame politicians just like that because of your personal reason. If you talk of our institutions, we have high institutions like the universities, the O levels and others, where we have some of these, students of those places taking these hard drugs. Do you still believe politicians on that? So we should not be pushing blames. This is a problem on our table, which we have to squarely come together and address it. And I'm happy the more we address this issue, the better for all of us. Thank you very much. I remember Mahmoud Deneji, the Managing Director of Kano ADP NADA. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mahmoud, for calling in. Well, at this point in time, we'll take a short break. When we return, we'll look at other aspects of this new war that Nigeria is fighting to stem this wide abuse of substances and then rehabilitate those who are already caught in it. Stay with us on NTA Tuesday Live. We'll be back shortly. All right, time to go back to Lagos Center and the Pharmacists Council, now in your court.
Thank you, Cyril. As per enforcement, I can tell you, I can say categorically that the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria has stepped up its enforcement activity, and in specific terms, we were in Ogun State 2 weeks ago, and from Ogun State, we proceeded to Sokoto State on extensive enforcement activity. Same has also been done in Nasarawa State. And the discoveries are very alarming and frightening. You get to pet medicine shops these days, and you discover that they dug a sort of ditch within the facility with a lid covering it. And that ditch is heavily stocked with this cough preparation. We've discovered one in Sokoto State. We also discovered another one in Nasarawa State. For this, we did not only stop at closing those facilities, we are also prosecuting these people for criminal offenses. So from Sokoto, Nasarawa, Ogun, I think we'll be going to other places, which we don't need to mention the sequence, but I want to assure that we have been on it for the past 3 weeks, and we've been to Nasarawa, we've been to Ogun State, we've been to Sokoto, and we are moving to another location.
And where pharmacies have compromised their ethics,
when laws were made, it is expected that everywhere there are chances that some people will fall foul of the law. And I think that is why the drafters of the law had envisaged this and put in place a mechanism to address it. But I mean, from professional perspective, we have an investigating panel where any pharmacist that is found wanting, even before we go to court, is thoroughly investigated. And if found wanting, is taken up to the tribunal, which of course the council has power to establish. And the powers of the tribunal is equivalent to that of High Court, because you also have the Honorable Minister of Justice being represented there, who is sent assessor there to that tribunal to guide the decision of that tribunal. And I can assure you that any pharmacist that is being found wanting, I mean, foul of the ethics of the profession, will definitely pass through this process and will be appropriately sanctioned.
Well, Minister, there are those who say even though it's a small fraction. Our parting shot tonight is a text that came in from Salman. It says it's from Gwarimpa. and this is an interesting angle to it which is brought in. It says, pop culture promotes drug abuse as most music stars are seen as role models. And of course, when those stars engage in things that are not star-like and they're seen as role models, then the ripple effects can only be imagined. But as I always say on this program, no one program can tackle all the issues. So we must leave this conversation here for tonight, and we'll revisit the effort to stop this scourge in Nigeria at some other point in time. But for now, we'd like to thank all our guests. Let me say big thank you to Ibrahim Baba Shehu of the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria, who joined us from our Lagos Network Center. Ibrahim Baba Shehu, thank you for being part of this program tonight.
Thank you, Cyril.
And also to Mabo Lugbenga, who's Director Operations and General Investigations of the NDLEA, also in our Lagos Network Center. Thank you very much for availing us of your time. And, well, those numbers, I'm sure a lot of people have taken down those numbers, and you might just be getting so many calls.
Thank you, Cyril. It's my pleasure.
All right, and I'd also like to say thank you to Sani Madugu, Controller of Customs Enforcement at the headquarters. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And the Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adiwale, it's been a pleasure having you here.
Thank you, Cyril.
And Dr. Umar Ganduje, Governor of Kano State, we thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you as well.
Right.
Thank you.
And also thank you to all of you who took part in this program. Next week we'll reach you again on NTA Tuesday Live. I'm Cyril Stober. Bye for now.